Hello, folks. This is Jeff Davis with the legendary Jeff Davis Show from Central Texas, USA. And I love Mike Hanson Archives. Peace out, baby.
Okay, folks, I want to introduce to the listeners Richard McLaren, the ambassador of the Republic of Texas. He's calling from Seagoville jail facility just outside of Dallas, Texas. And here he is, another POW in this state of emergency war that we're in. Richard McLaren, can you hear me, my friend?
Yeah, sure can.
God bless you,
right.
Richard. It's good to hear your voice, and thank you for coming on the Jeff Davis Show, sir.
Listen, we appreciate to be on. I just kind of want to let everybody know I just got those documents down to Gene last night. They were filed with Clinton today. Basically, we have basically called the title due to Texas. We found out through the process that basically all they were holding was an occupation title of war. And, of course, that's what happened in this whole thing. We brought the Leighton War, the Civil War acts were never completed. We brought these out of exile. We got that peace treaty that Clinton signed with us on May the 3rd, and now we're forcing him to honor it, and we're basically pushing this into the UN saying, hey, it's time that we want to be recognized as a nation. As a matter of fact, as soon as we get our recognition and force them to let go of us, you know, we're out of that mess.
All right.
And I think Gene's got some documents there. My
Yeah, I just
testimony
brought
was
them to him.
presented to the UN on 9th, and the United States Congress, according to the resolution that has been sitting there since 1868 that we got redocketed in April 30th of 1996. And, you know, this stuff is all true. They can't hide from it anymore.
Richard, first off, let me again thank you for coming on. How's your spirits, sir? Last time we talked to you.
Excuse me?
How are your spirits?
Pretty good. I've been pushing so much paperwork very hard, you know, in all directions because we have so many people that are being held illegally captive. We're moving now through this discharge administratively to force the courts to let our prisoners of war go. They're going to have to let this go to the people, and it's time to get these hearings we've been denied out on the table, start bringing all these sacred cows and this governmental fraud on all levels out on the table. We're going to have to clean government out, even whether or not we take our independence with it.
Right.
And that's what this whole thing was about. And there's just been so much cover-up and so much debasing anybody that comes forward and trying to clean it out. They've, you know, and I think now with the Clinton scandals and everything everybody's saying that what we've been saying, we're not crazy.
No, we're not. This is the New World Order come to haunt and come to roost, and it's nothing but a vile, corrupt government system. I think Greg Paulson called it the government of the devil, and
Exactly.
I think he's exactly right.
And we don't have any choice in Texas right now. We either pull out and take our independence, which the world will recognize us because we have been a captive nation. We have done the process. And this is where we're at now, is we are forcing the issue administratively. We've recovered our title. Now we want to call our notes due against those people that have converted our gold and silver. And we want a chance to regain the mistakes we made in 1845. It's time that Texas stands alone for right now until the smoke clears.
Richard, are you still getting plenty of feedback from people on the, people that you were connected to beforehand or before the, last May? Richard?
Excuse me now, can you repeat that?
Yes, are you still staying in contact with many of the people that, before what came down in last May?
Oh, yes. We are still holding our Congress together. We're moving forward on our foreign affairs. We did a $3,000 mail-out this weekend. I mean, our biggest problem is keeping enough contributions to keep the paperwork going to get us out of it. What we're realizing is there's no question of law. The annexation was illegal. We got out of the annexation, the illegal annexation in 1860, and all they held us as by a captive nation. We dissolved that war powers title now, and now we're administratively discharging under the law of nations all the offices, our rights, and everything. We're forcing these people now. We're going to bring the system to a dead halt if they don't start coming to the bargaining table and dealing with these facts, because they can't hold it anymore. They can't lie to the public anymore.
Let me just say this, Richard. We're engaged down here with some local activities, and basically their strategy is, of course, is to ignore the truth. And they cover it up in bureaucracies and all this kind of thing. Is this the same type of problem that you're having as you file these documents against these international criminal institutions?
Well, see what's funny now, we've been able to go in and use their own UN law and their own human rights treaties and things against them. We were kind of like a lone eagle coming out of the past and bringing forward this claim that we had, and we were able to utilize all their modern UN law against them by using the old law of nations, and they can't get around it because their new UN law recognizes the old law if you were under it when you came forward. So what we're doing now is saying, hey, this is your law, you're either going to have to live with it, or we're going to take internationally our steps to shut you down. We're going to shut your international commerce down. We're going to take this thing away from you. It's a paper game, and that's what we're doing. And we're bringing the courts to the standstill because they don't want this stuff public. I'm looking at a letter dated January 20th, 1998 by the Archives of the State of Texas, Christopher La Plata. He admits in the letter that they don't have the documents to prove legal annexation of the Texas into the Union. You know, when you go to see what they've got and what they don't have, you know that everything we've been saying is true. But what we have done, we've gone one step further. We've not only proved it's illegal, we've dissolved it. We have moved forward. There's no question now. The question is, we have the title. It belongs to the people of the nation of Texas. And now the people of the nation of Texas are going to have to clean house and decide the issues. And they can't deny it any longer. This isn't a Republican, Democrat, federal agency. The U.S. agencies are out. This is the people of Texas in their organic position.
That's going to make them guys at your commissioner's court just furious because they're going to be out of a job.
Yeah, well, they need to be.
When you see that document that you have there that was executed on Clinton today, which today is the 150th anniversary, by the way, of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which was basically came about because Texas wanted the protection as a nation of the United States to fight Mexico, and that's all the Treaty of Annexation was about, was military protection. You can read that right in the resolution. Then you start to understand what we're dealing with here. And the fact is, they're going to have to go into mediation with us. They have no other ability because we're fixing to pull their money.
Richard,
I mean, everybody in the world now is pulling their money out and putting it into hard currency. We're talking about silver and gold and assets, and we're making our move.
Let me ask you
we need people to come forward, especially that are in existing Texas government, and saying, hey, maybe it's time that we do look at this. We can't do anything in Washington anymore.
Yeah, we're going to need a new world order if we don't.
That's right. We either have to make our move as a country again and reclaim our rights, because I'm telling you, the nations, even in the UN, there are a number of nations that want out. We can provide that ability by going into that organization, utilizing it, and probably getting some of those people to join us.
Let me ask you this, Richard. Wouldn't you say, and this is kind of my take on it, that you guys are in trouble, and particularly you, because you were the one that did all the research over 15 years. You were actually finding loopholes within the own enemy mechanism to basically shut down their global empire. Isn't that not why you believe
you basically have got it. If they don't let Texas go, they're going to lose the whole system, because remember, it's all built on administrative international process. Once you understand their treaties, administrative processes, how they run their IMF money system, everything, we've broken the code. We're a player now. They're going to have to deal with us. Now, whether they deal with us and think they can hold on much longer, that's fine. The world's is finding out what we're doing. We're no longer playing with Bill Clinton and his zipper anymore. We're playing with 160 other nations of the world, and a lot of them are very upset with Mr. Clinton's policies, both domestically and foreign. And we're not making the same mistakes the Confederacy did. We are extending ourselves into foreign relations now to get the recognition and to get Texas out of its position. We can't help the other states of the Union. It's up to them to make their moves. But we're still a nation. We have that right. Let's take it. Let's all 17 million people in Texas decide this choice. It can't be decided in the courts anymore. That Texas versus White decision was as bogus a decision that it was ever handed down as it is today.
Gene, did you have something for Richard?
Now, all the stuff that you filed, you told me that it's all going to be hitting the various people this week.
Things have already hit today, a lot of them. There's a lot of stuff. We're doing administrative process. It's going into the court systems. The D.C. court doesn't know what to do. They tried to keep the transcript out by denying it into the record, but it's attached to the summary judgment now as an exhibit. You know, it's just like, well, don't cloud the issue with facts and law. We've been keeping the lie going. We're not going to allow them to keep the lie going. This is not a matter that a court can decide. It's a matter of a political matter. Mr. Clinton signed a ceasefire treaty. That was the first ceasefire treaty that he authorized signed since the end of the Civil War, and that's the only one standing since the Civil War. By law, that settles the Reconstruction issue, and it's got to go to the people.
Well, you know, it's really kind of
war out, and now it's been settled.
It's really kind of funny because down here in Austin, Jeff's been getting real upset. The same kind of stuff you've been fighting with the New World Order has reared its head on a local level. We've seen it now on a national level with, well, some folks call it Zippergate. I call it tailgate with Clinton.
I call it a diversion. While they
keep
us focused on issues of no significance, while they rob us blind.
Rob us blind. You know, but it all points to the same thing. You have elected officials who have forgotten that this is a government of, by, and for the people, who are stealing from the public. They're lying to us, and they're playing all these little charades. And at the meantime, when someone like you comes along, or other POWs that try and raise their voice to, number one, the truth, a little honesty, and a little freedom, then you're such a threat. They're going to run you. They're going to railroad you so bad, it's not even funny.
Exactly, and what you hit is exactly. We're seeing the replication of the New World Order all the way down the scale into the local. They utilize the concept of vertical down pressure. They take the corrupt ones from the higher and they vertical it all the way down into local government, and they find the corrupt local crooks that they manipulate. And when you see this is what they've done with Bailey and Valadez, you've seen this is what's happened with Morales and Bush, and it goes right up the chain. It's crook versus crook versus crook.
Yeah, and Jeff found out firsthand here with their commissioner's court, the corruption and the crooks down there. That forget the will of the people. This is what we want to do.
Let me explain what's going on here, Richard, briefly. I'm sure you're aware of this, but now the state is they provide financial rewards for children to go to the local school districts. So now the local school districts are becoming so aggressive now that they are sending truant officers on your property without notification, 8 o'clock at night, armed, beating on your house, wanting to know why your children wasn't in school, and they think it's great.
You know, and this encroachment, it's gone nuts. And I think the majority of people are fed up with it, and they don't know what to do. Well, I can tell the people of Texas, you want to do something with it, get on the bandwagon of the nation of Texas and push their right to get this house clean, because we go into these mediation sessions that we're forcing them into. We're not going to go in and decide issues without the people. These are going to be open public hearings, and we're going to take all the sacred cows, we're going to put them on the table, and we're going to cut them up, and then we're going to let the people of the nation of Texas have the first time that nobody's had a chance in the world to decide all these issues, because it takes in all the people. This is not something that can be done behind closed doors. This is something that cannot be done by a government. All that we can do as representatives of the people is get these issues on the table and then let the people decide them. And I think the majority of people are going to say they're tired of getting ripped off by big power companies, big corporations, big government, and they want a reality back into their lives and a common sense of justice and a way that the people can start profiting rather than big corporations from their acts.
Richard, I'm just going to come right out with it, brother. Wouldn't you say that you got 99 years for whatever phony deal they come up with? I guess filing against the World Bank got you 99 years.
Yeah.
But let me just say this now. There's very little doubt in my mind, and if I'm proven wrong, I'll accept it. I will take the responsibility for it. But basically, you got 99 years because you had the knowledge, and you were somebody who was showing people this corrupt system that we're in, and basically had a mechanism to get us out of it. Isn't that your perspective?
It's pretty well true, because, you know, what happened is you have to understand when you start raising stuff, I mean, there's no doubt that it came out on the stand that they were plotting for 2 months ahead of time that they were going to kill and exterminate us. We knew that was coming down, and, of course, that's why we followed through with bringing the latent war out, making the declarations follow. We knew under the law of nations, under the Articles of War was our only protection because they were going to kill us. And now you had people like Roe who were operating their house as they were doing government surveillance, and they were planning to kill us.
Hey, let's clarify that a minute. Now, this Roe bunch, these are the ones that you all supposedly kidnapped, right? Tell us what really happened with that.
Well, Mr. Roe admitted on his deposition 2 months before he was doing surveillance for the government. So he was watching our people. He was helping Bailey and the rest of them plan to have us killed. We knew that was coming down, and because we were running into incidents and they were drumming up every charge they could to come up with, trying to get me suppressed to shut me down from doing paperwork, because that's how we fight. And our paperwork was starting to jam their system. Well, of course, Mr. Bailey decides with an M16 rifle he's going to pull over one of our captains at the behest of Mr. Roe and started the war. So by the Articles of War, the first thing you do is you protect yourself. And so the problem of it is that declaration was filed. Mr. Clinton authorized a peace treaty to be signed in performance to those acts of war. Well, I don't think you can try somebody for acts of war unless they're war crimes, and there were no war crimes. And these people were government agents.
Do you think Roe was a government agent?
He stated on the stand, as well as I have a deposition he gave in the Morales lawsuit against us in Austin, that he was doing government surveillance.
Yeah.
So that's an operative. He was using his house. It has no personal sanctity when you're using your house as a government base.
And they basically backed the media up 10 miles. So the only information that the people were getting was this Mike Cox fella.
The talking head from
Yeah,
GPS.
just basically stating the pre-approved script.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing.
So this is how they had
U.S. military ground troops there. They had U.S. military helicopters, ground troops, F-16 fighters, all sorts of stuff. Well, who authorized the military hardware? Well, I guarantee you it was Bill Clinton because we already have the documents. So if the president authorized the governor the right to use military weapons, that's called war, my friend. And I'll tell you what the war's called. It was called the American War, not the American Civil War, and it never died because there was no peace treaty signed. I'm looking right here at my response from the archives. So until the first peace treaty was signed by us on May the 3rd, there had been no settlement of the acts of the blockade of April 19th, 1861. And I have the top book on war powers by a man book called Berkheimer that explains everything that we did.
Let me ask you, let me see if you can confirm something. You may or may not know this. Carolyn Carney, San Antonio, is she in jail?
I don't know. I know that they supposedly gave her 10 years for protecting herself against a couple of ludicrous cops that broke her door down and dragged her off and arrested her for Mr. Morales' frivolous little lawsuit.
What about Creer?
Creer's in jail on the other side over here with the other gentleman.
He's a black fella, so they can't call us a bunch of racists.
Yeah, there's 4 black gentlemen, one Vietnamese gentleman that's a citizen of the Republic, and there's 3 whites.
Creer is in, where's Creer at? Do you know?
He's in the other unit. He's in Seagoville also.
What's he in there for? Other than
they're trying to get us from bank fraud because we've accessed their funds.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. We've taken their money system away from it. Now we're calling their notes. Do we want our $20 billion in silver back so we can run our republic government in Austin? We don't want their paper. We want our silver.
Yeah.
And we want our gold. They've stolen that too.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Well, we're going to call their note due because if they're not, we are going to call their note everywhere.
99 years, Rick McLaren, you got 99 years. You could go out here, a person could go out here and murder somebody and get what, like
10
5?
to 30.
Yeah,
10 to 30,
5
baby.
to 30 years.
Well, you have to understand I was convicted by Mr. Dehart, who's a title agent for Stewart Title Company, involved in the Davis Mountain Resort land fraud, which created all this.
There you go.
So it's kind of interesting. I was convicted by a title agent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And, of course, he owns a title company. He was involved in the bankruptcies and the land fraud suits with Global Land Corporation. So he really doesn't like his skeletons dug up.
Richard, is there any chance of all you getting out of there or any of these guys?
Well, the appellate court has docketed it, and I think we're going to see some movement.
All right.
All I can tell you right now is there's a lot of international pressure coming down on these people over Texas, and we're not going to let up. This thing, we didn't fight this for a few people. We fought this for everybody. And my record speaks for itself. The documents speak for themselves. And they can sit there and smear it, but the record speaks for itself. And we still got a dead man called Mike Hanson that gave his life for
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah, and we got coming up here in February, the 22nd of this month. We got a bunch of Waco survivors coming to Austin for a little remembrance.
Good.
So there was about 90 of them murdered a little less than 5 years ago.
You know, it's amazing. It's time to put these agencies and these people out of business. I don't know how much people are going to continue to stand of this. You know.
You know, we were just talking. I would just, we're licensed to death. We're just the little things you have to do to get out on a road. I mean, your registration, your inspection stickers, your insurance, your license. They're thumb scanning your driver's license now. They require a Social Security number.
Right. Welcome to communist Texas.
Yeah. Welcome to a new world order. Is what it all amounts to.
Oh.
Richard, first off, sir, it's an honor to have you call in here, brother.
Listen, appreciate it. And like I said, all I can tell everybody is it's time the people come out of the wall that are down there in Austin still in government and saying, I think it's time for change. It's time that we start to realize that if we don't do this, we're going to go down with a ship. And that's where they're headed.
Hey, do you have a little bit more time yet?
Yes, I still do.
Okay, Gene, do you have something you want to ask him? Because I know I've been dominating him, but I've got...
Well, that's quite all
Go
right.
ahead, Gene. Hey, let me thank the Ritters, man. These are the folks that got this done for us again. Getting Richard and both Richards on. Go ahead, Gene.
You said your appellate court had been docketed. Do you have any idea when that is?
Well, we have documents going in, but they accepted my UN and U.S. Congress testimony in on the 14th of January, and this is the same judge that signed the judgment we got proving the land fraud in the resort. So it's going to be kind of interesting now that I go back to him and say, look, what happened since you signed the order. Apparently, we found who had the title to the land now.
Oh, boy. This is a heck of a tangled web, and, it's really funny. It reminds me of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. They got Jim Baker for a zillion years in prison for taking money. You start hitting on their land fraud scheme, and they get all nervous about it, so you wind up in prison while they're running around stealing more people's money. Jeff's pulling his hair out down here because all of this burden on the citizens for the fees, permits, and they're just another name for
I've
tax.
had my belly full of it.
They're cleaning our wallets out. I mean, they're cleaning our wallets out.
Revenue generators.
Yep.
And all they're doing, Richard, is creating a bunch of victimless. Most of these people in prison now are victimless.
And they're putting their
criminals
brother-in-laws at work.
Criminals of the state, man. Criminals of the state.
And they got their brother-in-law a job. Like down here at the courts that he was at on this ASAP situation here, the Absent Student Assault Program.
Yeah.
They're generating all these fees and there's just taxes so they can put more of their brothers to work, have bigger and bigger government. They're regulating us to death. They're passing thousands of laws every year, and no one knows what they are.
Make us criminals at the state, and at the same time, the prison business is one of the biggest businesses they're going.
Yeah, exactly.
They're making money off you, Richard. They're making a lot of money off you.
I mean, this thing has just gotten completely out of control, and it's time the American
Mike
people stand up
Hanson
for this.
On YouTube here, on Mike Hanson Archives, and we also have a new one here, Hanson Archives. And we are starting a new one, Waco Archives, about all the interviews we've done with the Branch Davidians over the years and all the evidence that we got on that particular murder case. So be sure if you need to write us here on our, making a turn here, folks. Be sure if you need to write us here, she's going to put up the address here. It's 901 St. Joseph Street, Gonzales, Texas 78629. If you want to call us to order a book, I am offering my book for $25 signed copy. If you'd like to call in with a credit card, the number is 830-672-3089. And we'll send you a signed copy, and all the money will go to support these channels here, Mike Hanson Archives, and Waco Archives. So stay tuned right here for more classic Alex Jones and Jeff Davis and a bunch of other great patriots right here on YouTube. If you want to get a hold of us on Facebook, it is Mike Hanson from Gonzales, and it's Hanson. Thanks to God, and God bless. Support us by subscribing. Push that button down here somewhere, wherever it is. Thanks a lot, and God bless.
Yeah,
It's about
it's
time.
a choice. If there was any way you could stop it in Washington, listen, we have been going through heck trying to force this 1868 hearing, this 1996 hearing. They got it sitting there, but they won't deal with it. So I can tell you, you can hang up doing anything in Washington, D.C. It's gone.
I
Well,
basically
now,
agree. No, I basically agree
Well,
with
I
that.
disagree. If
I
you're a-
basically, you got
if
Alan
you're a-
Greenspan. Look,
Hey,
they're not going to
if
give
you're
it
a
up.
young,
up to-
good-looking woman, or you're a member of the Communist Chinese government with a briefcase full of money, you'll get a lot done in Washington.
or if you're the head of the Federal Reserve, you get a lot done.
Yeah, you get a lot done.
Exactly. So the only thing we've got that we can work with is what's left here in Texas. So we better take what push we've got, and somebody needs to call Mr. Bullock over there, and maybe some of the other ones who are a little more midline, and saying, hey, I think it's time you boys better get your act together with the Republic because it's fixing to come down.
Richard, you got any? How much? You about done with your time, or
Excuse me?
you almost done? I know
Yeah,
you're.
I've got just a few more minutes.
Okay, I'll let you make a closing comment. Anything you want to say, Richard, to the viewers
Well,
of the
listen,
program?
what I'd like to say is, again, I want to reiterate, I think it's time for the people. I know there's a lot of people thinking the same thing we are, but you've got to find a vehicle to get it accomplished. And the only way you can do that is using the right that we have still as an independent nation to bring forward all these issues, force us into a mediation, get these issues publicly, do the house cleaning, go into coalition government, then move to the decision if we want to stay as a nation. But we've got to clean house. We've got to clean this very large government, and the only way we can do that is exercising our rights as a nation. You can't do it as a fictitious state in the Union operating under war powers and bankruptcy. There's no way to do it. This is the only way. We looked at everything. We studied a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and we're the only ones that have been able to get to this point. Hawaii, nobody else has been able to do it. So we either take the opportunity or we're going down the ship with everybody else.
Richard, do you happen to know a number or something that not at 1-800? We can't do that here, but do you happen to know a number where somebody can get a hold of maybe the office of the current people in the Republic, or?
Yes, and first of all, the internet site is therepublicoftexas.org. That is therepublicoftexas.org, and that will refer you to other various websites, the embassy site. The main number we're using now is, we have a hotline number, but I don't have that, but you can call this number, which is 972-471-2040.
So
Again, that's 972
972-471-2040.
471-2040, and they can give you information. We have a hotline number, and they give you a fax number and other numbers of our people in our government, so we can get you in contact with the right people. We have a Corps of Engineers website page. I don't have that listed right now, but things are starting to pick back up. We kind of lost some momentum, but we're going full strength now.
That's republicoftexas.org.
Yeah, therepublicoftexas.org.
The Republic of Texas?
Yeah.
And that's 972-4. We'll get it up on the screen here at the end of this program.
Okay, we appreciate it, and like I said, we'll keep plugging along. We just hope the people of Texas realize that this may be their only shot to clean house.
We'd like to ask you to come back, Richard, if you can do it.
Listen, we sure will.
God bless you, brother. Hang in there, brother. You're not alone.
Listen, we appreciate it.
God bless you,
God
brother.
bless Texas. Bye-bye.
Now, if you want,
Go ahead.
folks can call me down in Houston. I don't have the number with
Well, it
me,
can't
but
be
I
an
can give
800
you,
as long as it's a regular.
no, it's a regular number.
Okay.
They can. I can give them the number to.
Go ahead and close it. I'm going to take just a
press
quick
secretary
break.
gal and whatnot, and we can get all the phone numbers.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
You ready to run? All right, that's it. All right, who wants to lead? Let Gene go. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Here's
All right.
Yell it out.
God bless the Republic.